Hi guys, welcome back to my channel 32 Happy Teeth. Today we are going to discuss endocrinology, in particular adrenal gland with respect to physiology. So let's get started. Adrenal gland is made up of adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Adrenal cortex constitutes 72% of the adrenal gland, whereas medulla constitutes 28%. Adrenal cortex has three layers, which is zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, and zona reticularis. Zona glomerulosa releases mineralocorticoids, which is aldosterone, and fasciculata releases glucocorticoids, which is cortisol, whereas reticularis releases adrenal sex steroids, which is DHEA. What is DHEA? It is dihydroepiandrosterone. How can you learn all these three layers? If you remember GFR, glomerular filtration rate, you can remember it as GFR, glomerulosa, fasciculata, and reticularis. Now moving on to the adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla releases catecholamines, which constitutes of epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. This is a picture of adrenal gland. Here you can see that adrenal gland is present on top of the kidney. Adrenal gland is made up of cortex and medulla. Medulla lies in the center portion, whereas cortex surrounds the medulla, and the outermost structure is capsule. All the cortex hormones, which is aldosterone, cortisol, and DHEA, are under the control of ACTH, that is adrenocorticotropin hormone, whereas all the medullary hormones, that is epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine, are under the control of ANS, which is autonomic nervous system. Aldosterone is also known as the life-saving hormone. Site of action is collecting duct cells, and its T half is 20 minutes. It helps in the reabsorption of sodium and water, whereas it secretes potassium and hydrogen ions. In this diagram, we will learn how aldosterone works on the principal cell of collecting duct. This is the basolateral side and this is the apical side of the principal cell. Aldosterone, how it works it when it acts on the principal cell of collecting ducts, there is a channel which is present on the apical side of the principal cell, which is called as the epithelial sodium channels. There is another channel which is called as the ROMK channels. Via the ENaC channel, which is epithelial sodium channels, aldosterone helps in the reabsorption of sodium, whereas by ROMK channel it secretes potassium into the lumen. Sodium doesn't reabsorb alone, it comes along with water, whereas potassium also is not secreted alone, it is also secreted with H plus ion. Now if there is any overactivity of epithelial sodium channels, the patient develops Liddle syndrome, and this channel can be blocked by amyloid. Intercalated cells or eye cells are the epithelial cells which are present in the distal segment of the nephrons, and these cells are associated with the regulation of the acid base homeostasis in the blood. Eye cells work when there's acidosis in the body. So, if there is acidosis, what should be done? There should be secretion of hydrogen ions into the urine, whereas reabsorption of the bicarbonate ions. So, the following is the diagram of eye cell. This is the basolateral side and this is the apical side. On the apical side of the cell, there is hydrogen potassium exchanger present, and on the basolateral side, there is chloride bicarbonate exchanger present. So, how does this eye cell work? There is hydrogen secretion into the urine in return of potassium reabsorption, and on the basolateral side there is chloride secretion to the urine in exchange of the bicarbonate reabsorption. In this manner, H plus is secreted into the urine, whereas bicarbonate is reabsorbed into the blood. This will lead to the acid base balance in our blood. Now moving on to the factors increasing aldosterone. So what are the factors which lead to increase in the concentration of aldosterone? First one is hyperkalemia. That is, if there is increased concentration of potassium in the blood, so we need to secrete this potassium into the urine, and aldosterone will do the same. Now coming on to the second point, which is hyponatremia. That is, if there is decreased concentration of sodium in the blood, aldosterone will act on the principal cells of the collecting duct, and it will lead to reabsorption of sodium by the epithelial sodium channels. And in case of hypertension as well as RAS, aldosterone will increase the blood pressure by reabsorbing the sodium and the water and secreting potassium and hydrogen ions. Now moving on to the glucocorticoid, which is the cortisol hormone. Majority of the cortisol, that is 90 to 95% of it, binds to cortisol binding globin, which is called as the transcortin. Its T half is 60 to 90 minutes and it follows circadian rhythm, which is its maximum in early morning, that is around 5 a.m., whereas it is lowest during the sleep. Now moving on to the actions of cortisol. Cortisol has a wide range of action. First we will start with the metabolism. On proteins, cortisol acts catabolically as well as anabolically. So when it acts in a catabolic form, it acts on muscle proteins, leading to increase in the alanine level. And when it acts anabolically, it acts on the liver, leading to increased plasma protein synthesis. Now, when it acts on lipids, it leads to lipolysis, increasing the free fatty acids. On carbohydrates, it increases the glucose level. It forms glucose from non carbohydrate source such as alanine. Then this process is called as the gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis is the formation of the glucose from a non carbohydrate source. Now, moving on to its second range of action, which is anti inflammatory. How does it exert its action of anti inflammation? By decreasing phospholipase A2, prostaglandins, histamine, serotonin, interleukin 2, eosinophil count, and basophils, as well as lymphocytes. Whereas in blood, it increases RBC, neutrophils, and platelets. On bone, cortisol increases the osteoclastic activity, whereas on GIT, it increases the gastric acid secretion, leading to peptic ulcer. Whereas on reproductive system, it decreases the gonadotropin releasing hormone, that is, it is the negative regulator. Cortisol exerts permissive action, which means that the effect of a hormone depends on the physical presence of another hormone. Example is catecholamines and glucagon. Now coming to the zona reticularis. Zona reticularis releases DHEA hormone, which is dihydroepiandrosterone. It is a male sex steroid, but it is required in both male as well as female. It is responsible for libido as well as the axillary and pubic hair. Now moving on to the adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla is a neuroectodermal derivative. It synthesizes three hormones, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and dopamine, which is collectively called as the catecholamines. When these hormones are secreted, the maximum concentration is of adrenaline, followed by noradrenaline, and least is of dopamine. So this was all about adrenal gland. This PPT will be made available to you in my Telegram group. All the concerned links will be made available in the description box. Hope you like this video, and if you do, so hit the like button and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon so that whenever I post a new video, you will get a notification. Otherwise, you will miss it. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.